And it's April 1, 2025, the start of the second quarter of 2025. And we are here celebrating another holiday in honor of our Muslim brothers and sisters. Good afternoon and welcome to the Pulse. We are live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV 125. We are on X Spaces, on Facebook, on YouTube, and of course, on myjoyonline.com. My name is Elton Brobe, and as always, you're welcome. This is Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. And this afternoon, minority in parliament demands full disclosure regarding 2 flights that landed in Ghana early March and departed to the Spanish island. We have details as they sound the alarm. The planes may have been used to transport drugs.
National security to, as a matter of urgency, make public the content of cargo suspected to be cocaine and cash.
The ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee, John Ntimfodjo, is my guest as he provides more details on this matter. Also, as the minority push for government to resume the procurement processes for offshore patrol vessels for the Naval Force, we bring you an exclusive interaction with the Acting Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority to find out the true state of affairs of the Ghana Maritime Authority, plus get updates on the recent pirate attack on a Ghanaian registered shipping vessel over the weekend. Still to come this afternoon, Western North Regional Minister Wilbert Petty Bentum denies allegations of halting a joint anti-Galamsey operation and ordered the return of seized excavators to illegal miners. We'll hear from my colleague Erastus Saridonko, who has a different version to the story. My name is Elton Brobe. Thanks for choosing us. This is Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. And this is the Pulse. When we settle down, we'll zoom straight into the minority accusation they leveled against government this afternoon. You're welcome back, and of course, we've got 2 conversations this afternoon for you. One with the ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, Reverend Ntimfodjo, and of course, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Maritime Authority to share with us the vision for the next 4 years and beyond. But before we do that, President John Mahama has tasked the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council and the Gender Ministry to negotiate with banks for flexible loan repayment terms for persons affected by the Adum Blue Light Arena fire. Now, already the RCC is compiling a list of individuals indebted to banks for support. Regional Minister Dr. Frank Amakohene explains some of the affected persons are receiving psychological support after losing all their investments. Nana Yaojima was at the place and has come to with this report.
Management organization, about 2,900 people were affected by the Adum fire. By the figure, 1,500 people claim not to be in position to feed themselves, hence foodstuff support. Dr. Amakohene indicated records have shown some persons are indebted to banks.
Some of them who come in complain about their bankers still, pestering them for repayment of loans. I made this information available to His Excellency the President, who has requested that we take the details of the traders and their bankers so that we will get to know the loans they have taken and be able to intervene so that those banks will give them some breathing space whilst we see how best we can support them to repay those loans. So these are all support that we are making available to the affected victims.
About 8 people have been referred to the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital for psychological support. Dr. Amakohene reveals a holistic support is being extended to the victims.
I think there was a key issue about psychological support. So that one too, we have laid with a team from Konfanoche who we refer them to when the issues come up. There are others too who come in here, and if you look at their condition, you realize that they need some level of support. As Regional Minister, on behalf of the President, I encourage them that the government is willing to support them, and other individuals who have volunteered to support them are also coming around to support them.
Meanwhile, some philanthropists continue to offer financial support to the fire victims. Renowned road and building contractor Emmanuel Abuaje has extended financial support of 500,000 cedis to persons affected by the fire. The amount was received by the Regional Coordinating Council on behalf of the traders. Mr. Abuaje encouraged the victims to remain hopeful.
So me free Kumase na ejadie mo amudija mo amo wo table so mo jadie mu nyina mo boa e ma
I am from Kumasi and I know the role small businesses play in the local economy. I am aware of the negative impact of the fire on your business. My foundation has decided to support people in need. So in response to the regional minister's call, I am here to support you with 500,000 cedis, and I call on all to respond in similar manner.
businesses for Ghana for say
reconstruction of the market is uncertain as the Regional Coordinating Council wait on their Santehene for a determination. For Joy News, Nana Jima reporting.
Well, the Ejoso Asaman community in the Ashanti region has been hit with irregular water supply attributed to occasional breakdown of the community's borehole. Residents often turn to boreholes of neighbors for water to cater for their daily needs. Now, they are appealing to government for a long-term solution as they access temporary means to deal with the situation. Ojima again has more in this report.
The existing borehole at Ejoso Asaman, built in the early 90s, has gone through several renovations. The regular breakdowns and repairs have drained the community until some residents began to sink boreholes for private use, mainly turned to streams for water supply. Stephen Buama is assembly member for Tikrum, Baro, Asaman electoral area.
We sometimes turn to the stream when the borehole develops a fault. We share the stream with animals. The repairs on the borehole may take time sometimes due to the costs involved.
Akwesi Brobe, a resident of the area, is worried about possible disease outbreak in the community.
A lot of us turn to the stream for water to survive. We can't continue to drink from unsafe water sources. It can cause diseases among the people.
Through a partnership between Rotary Club of Kumasi Premier International and electronic giants LG, a solar-powered borehole has been commissioned for the community. Aside from dealing with the community's water needs, the solar system is a means of promoting renewable energy. Katechie Afrifa is marketing manager of LG.
You know, as part of the SDGs, sustainability is key. How are we using the stuff that is around us to help enrich our lives? In Ghana specifically, there's a lot of sunlight. How are we going to convert these sunlight to make sure that it is also to our benefit?
Meanwhile, Rotary Club of Kumasi Premier International is encouraging the community to institute measures to maintain the facility. Rotarian Avinash Lakani is president-elect.
They've really got something good on their hands here. I think they should take very good care of it. They should maintain it because we know as a club that they do have more needs regarding sanitation issues. The club can always partner with them and do much more for the community provided the facilities that are given to them are maintained.
And of course, illegal fishing continues to threaten Ghana's fish stock and livelihoods with destructive practices like light fishing, dynamite use, and the emerging Mali method on the Volta Lake. Now, in response, the Fisheries Commission and local stakeholders met in Kita to discuss enforcement measures. Our correspondent, Ivy Setoji, has more in this report.
Illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing is taking a toll on Ghana's marine and inland waters. Fisher folks say dwindling catches are forcing some into destructive practices, further endangering fish population. At a stakeholders meeting held at the Keta Municipal Assembly, representatives from the Fisheries Commission, Marine Police, local authorities and fisher folks deliberated on the way forward. Benjamin Campio from the Fisheries Commission says enforcement remains a challenge, but they are working with the Marine Police to strengthen oversight.
Yeah, so when it comes to the enforcement, the Commission has a working arrangement with what we call the Fisheries Enforcement Unit, FEU. Now the FEU is made up of the Navy and some fisheries officers and others. But government has also established Marine Police. So we are working with the Marine Police. At least those ones can easily be deployed to the various police stations, especially the coastal communities. If for every police station you have 1 or 2 Marine Police assigned to them, then when we bring some of these cases, they know what the law says and they can prosecute properly. The regular police who don't know the law, sometimes when you bring them, they are wondering what is wrong with this and what should we do. But the Marine Police are trained, they know the law, and therefore we just need to get more of them along the coastal districts and their associated police stations. We are working on that this year. We were using the FEU, the Fisheries Enforcement Unit, Navy. That one is more expensive, how to set up naval bases along the coast. That's more expensive. So we'd rather look at the cheaper options like the Marine Police and even our regular police. If we give them more training, they should be able to do that.
The meeting followed a petition from the Concerned Fishers Association urging authorities to clamp down on illegal fishing. Fisher folk leaders, particularly women in the industry, like Ruby Adipo, expressed concerns over the health and economic impacts.
And we are pleading to our fisher folks, especially the fishermen, those who use the IUU should stop using them because it's affecting our health. When they use those IUU gears or methods to go and catch fish, it's something which is not good for our health. So we are pleading to our fishermen to do what is right. They should do the right thing. And now we heard that the representative of minister told us that now they are going to take action about all those gears are not good to use. So we are pleading to our fishermen that what is right, they should do the right thing.
Authorities reassured fisher folks that stricter enforcement will begin.
Now let's move to one of our advertised conversations this afternoon. The minority in Parliament is demanding full disclosure regarding 2 flights that landed in Ghana in early March and departed for Canaria, that's a Spanish island, on March 25. The flight, an air ambulance and a private jet, allegedly remained in the country for 5 days before their departure. According to the minority, there is no evidence that the air ambulance carried any patient upon arrival or departure. Ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee, John Intim-Fodjo, is calling on the national security to review the cargo content of these aircraft, raising concerns that they may have been used for drug trafficking or money laundering.
On the matter of air med flights and Cargo Air private jets transporting suspected cocaine and cash. Ladies and gentlemen, on another security matter related to our airspace, the Minority Caucus calls on national security to, as a matter of urgency, make public the content of cargo suspected to be cocaine and cash transported into the country by 2 suspicious flights, namely Air Med flights N823AM and Cargo Air private jets Antonov An-12B, which landed on the tarmac of Kotoka International Airport in March 2025 from Gran Canaria Island of Spain and departed to the same Gran Canaria days after their arrival. Reliable intelligence intercepted by the Minority Caucus indicates that on March 20th, 2025, Air Med flight N823AM, which is an air ambulance, and I must stress, it's an air ambulance designed specifically to carry patients, landed at Kotoka International Airport in Accra, Ghana, and remained in the country for 5 days before departing 1 a.m. on March 25th, 2025, back to Gran Canaria. Our intelligence further persists that no patient was transported by the said Air Med flight, neither to nor from Accra. There is no evidence of medical referral or patients accompanying or on board the flights on either legs of the flight. We are reliably informed that contrary to the expectation that the Air Med flight would carry patients, the purpose for which it was designed and operates, it rather on this occasion carried suspicious cargo suspected to be cocaine and cash in various United States dollars denominations. In a related development, a private jet, Cavok Air Antonov An-12B, also landed at Kotoka International Airport on March 12, 2025, from the same island of Spain, Gran Canaria, and remained in the country for 13 days and departed at 6:40 hours, that is 6:40 a.m., on March 25th, 2025, to Gran Canaria. The very day Air Med flight also departed to Gran Canaria. While it is intriguing that the two suspicious flights would depart to the same location on the same day, even more intriguing is the cargo suspiciously transported by these aircrafts to and from Gran Canaria, an island known for its notoriety in drug trafficking, money laundering, among others. We call on national security to make full disclosure of the content of the cargo carried by these two aircraft into the country, as well as the cargo carried out of the country by the same aircraft to Gran Canaria, consistent with the principle of transparency in our collective quest to fighting drug trafficking and money laundering.
Right, so the minority is also urging government and national security to provide updates on the seizure of gold bars and cars made in February. Now, on February 9, National Security Operative confiscated gold bars and an unspecified amount of cash from a warehouse in Sub-Payment. However, nearly 2 months later, no official update has been provided on the investigation. Thankfully, I am joined in the studio by the ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, John Intim Fodjo. Reverend, you're welcome. And congratulations on your new role as ranking on the.
Thank you very much. You're doing a great job.
I'm grateful.
Okay.
And you've been really on these matters in the last few weeks.
Yes.
I mean, perhaps another time we'll talk about the promotions in the military. You had issues with it, but this afternoon, February, the National Security carried themselves cameras from media houses to this warehouse that they uncovered the gold and the cars. Some they claim were counterfeit. It's been 2 months. We've not heard anything from it. I'm wondering whether you've heard something.
Yeah, so Elton, thanks for inviting me into your show. And like you said, security matters are so important.
Right.
Security is all we have, stability, internal peace and security. And therefore, those matters are quite concerning. For the minority, we have been very circumspective and we've been very patient 2 clear months after National Investigations Bureau, National Security, I think National Security specifically, led a major raid on some warehouses in Sub-Payment.
Right.
They carried the media along, and it's an act that I commend in the fullness, or in the full glare of media,
right,
in the principle of transparency. They accompanied them. And the whole of Ghana and the world saw 12 containers filled with gold bars and cash, some in US dollars, some in Ghana cedis.
Right.
12 containers. This I mean, summing up to billions of dollars.
They were actually following up on another container.
And there was 2 or so that were missing,
right,
which they were chasing. They only gave one name as the suspect, one Alaji, and that was all we had. But we thought that given the full glare of media coverage given to such an investigation, quite a high-profile rate, 2 months on, there should be some updates on it. The people of Ghana deserve to have an update as to, one, what has become of investigations, who are the actual culprits behind it, and also what is the status of the gold and the cedis and the dollars that they confiscated, running into billions of dollars. What does the state intend to do with that confiscated cash and gold? We don't want to sit down and after a year be told that, oh, the gold turned out to be fake, the cash turned out to be fake, we disposed it somewhere, nobody even knows about it. So my colleague, Deputy Ranking, the Honorable Amankwa Menu, and I, this morning, on behalf of the Minority Caucus, engaged the press. And these were some of the very legitimate questions we asked. And we're asking national security to provide answers, to be transparent, to ensure that we are able to know the people behind this. Elton, in the sub-region has come at a time where a number of terrorist activities and extremist actions are going all over the place, and every country is building their resilience. And they fund these activities through some of these means, money laundering, you find gold somewhere, cash somewhere. So we need to get to the bottom of it, to know who are actually behind it, for what purpose were the gold meant for, and why were they brought into the country, the cash that was brought into the country. The good people of Ghana deserve to have an update. But
Honorable Reverend, is it strange that after 2 months, national security has yet to disclose to the public the full details of their investigation? Is it normal that because these are matters of national security, they will hold on to the facts, even though when they undertook the raid, they went along with the media? No, right at the outset, I commend them, because you need media to come along. Those actions shed light on certain illegalities happening, for people to know that we have national security apparatus all over and they are acting on intelligence. And so any action that is complicit of the law, they will find you out. So you brought it in the media, which is fantastic. In much the same way, you need to keep the public apprised. Carry the public along. Even if you are not done conclusively with investigations, it's just respectful that you hold regular updates on the videos we showed, the raid we conducted, the major operations we conducted, the 12 containers that were stashed with gold and cash. These were the people we've apprehended so far. These are the people assisting investigations. This is the status of the gold. We've kept it here. And even the amount, how much is it? By now, they should have, even if it's so much, they should have been able to find some counting machines to count the cash for us to know exact specified amount of cash they retrieved and are in custody, and the number of bars of gold they are retrieved and in custody. These updates shouldn't take more than a week for us to have. It's been 2 months, and yes, 2 months, exactly 2 months. It's more than enough for them to be forthcoming with investigations. But you sit in a privileged position. Are you telling me that even in the opposition and ranking on the Defense and Interior Committee, you are unaware of what the national security has uncovered? We haven't been apprised of any such updates on the status of the investigation, and that is why we sought to interact with the media, because the media accompanying the raid. And so in the follow-up to all the updates, the media has to be carried along so that we conduct this oversight in a fully transparent manner. So we are calling on the Minister for Interior, who has the additional responsibility for national security, and the National Security Coordinator, to quickly give us updates. You recall that a few days ago, the NIB, the National Investigations Bureau, also did a raid somewhere in Cape Coast and intercepted $350 million worth of cocaine. Right. They were kind enough to share with the media that this is the interception we've had, and that investigation will further, unravel. So we want, once you keep the public involved in all these conversations, it even boosts confidence in the security apparatus and in their competence to nip some of these activities in the bud. For the past medium term, we didn't hear about some of these: cocaine here, money laundering here, gold stash here, and all that, these containers. We never heard about them. And consistently, global organizations rank Ghana as the second most peaceful country in Africa. Right. And even globally ahead of Australia and Canada. So if within the space of just 3 months, we handed over power to you under the leadership
of President John Dramani Mahama. We keep hearing some of these incidents of cocaine here, drug trafficking here, money laundering here, and such, actions, incidents rearing its ugly face, resurfacing all of a sudden. We must be concerned because it is the responsibility of the president and the government foremost to ensure security. We don't want to make this country a safe haven for drug trafficking and money laundering.
But Honorable, how worried should we be if national security is doing its work and is failing to update the public?
Yeah, we should be worried because in the first place, these are things happening in society that you unraveled. And so, one, how much gold did you even retrieve? It is respectful that you...
At the onset, the claim was that some of the money could be counterfeit. And we've not been told how much of it is counterfeit and how much of it is real.
We all saw the videos, and we still have the videos. And so not even all could be counterfeit. And that is a fear. See, when you do not exercise oversight, everybody will be quiet, will go to sleep, and after a year, they will come. If anybody even demands update at that point, they will just say, oh, we can't even find the files. As a matter of fact, they were even fake, and we disposed. And nobody will even know where they disposed it or how they were disposed. And so we need to keep them also accountable. And they need to give account of how much they received in terms of gold, how much in specified amount of cash, how they are handling it, what the state intends to do with that money, retrieved. We must know. And then the people behind it. These are the three things we want. And updates on investigations. National security is at it, but it will serve the purpose if they are transparent enough to carry all of us along.
I know that Parliament is on recess. Naturally, maybe I may ask whether you intend to bring this to the notice of the Speaker through an urgent question or a question for the Minister to come and answer. The House is on recess, or maybe until the House is back in session, that particular aspect you could explore could be put on hold. Yeah,
we're on recess, and we're not going to be back until after a month or more. And therefore, within that period, we think that we have been patient enough. The good people of Ghana have been patient enough. All the media outlets that accompanied the raid have been patient enough. 2 months is enough. We can't wait until Parliament reconvenes before we begin to bring these matters, to the fore. But Parliament being in recess, notwithstanding, these are also available instruments that are legitimate. With the Fourth Estate is a very credible partner, to be able to engage perhaps for the national security to know how important this matter is to the good people of Ghana. So the national security should not wait until Parliament reconvenes before the minister does what he has to do. They owe the public an update on the investigations, and the time is long overdue.
Let's also focus on another matter that you addressed this morning at the news conference. They claim that some aircrafts and air ambulance that came into the country may have left with some cocaine. I mean, you were not specific. You used the word allegedly.
Yes.
What is the story behind this?
Elton, it's a very serious matter because it has to do with the security of our airspace. No air flight can just jump into one's airspace and land into their country, their international airport, and stay on for about 4 days, in another instance, 13 days, and then go back to the same location they came from without any questions or without any information or traces. That cannot happen. And we don't want to believe that that is what is now happening in Ghana. So on the 12th of March, the first flight came from Gran Canaria. It is an island in Spain, very close to North Africa, but very close, but it's under Spain. So, and that is an island that we all know what they do there. It's notorious for drug trafficking, is notorious for money laundering and such related activities. So when you have a flight coming from that side, a private, not a commercial one, but a private jet or an ambulance, flight coming, you need to heighten your intelligence to know what exactly they brought and what they're taking out. So on this occasion, on the 12th of March, the Cavoc Air, which is a private jet, and the registration number is Antonov An-12B. That's the details, Antonov An-12B.
And this is an air ambulance?
No, this is a private jet. So on 12th of March, this first arrived on the tarmac, landed at Kotoka International Airport. It stayed here for 13 days before it departed it came from Gran Canaria and stayed here for 13 days and departed 6:40 a.m. on 25th of March. 6:40 a.m. 25th of March, and left back to the same Gran Canaria. Around the same time, on 20th of March, another air flight came from the same Gran Canaria. This air flight is the air ambulance, which is called Air Med Flights, and the number is N823AM. N823AM. That air ambulance specifically designed to carry patients, specifically designed to ferry patients in times of emergency when there are referrals for patients to seek medical health care abroad. Right. Those are the kind of aircrafts that they use to transport them. In this instance, 12th March, this aircraft, 20th March, this aircraft landed at Kotoka International Airport. It stayed there for 5 days and returned to the same Gran Canaria, the same location, and the same day that the Cavoc private jet had returned to. 1 a.m. it returned. Now, all the checks we've done does not provide any evidence of a medical referral from any hospital in Ghana, indicating that on such or within that period, there were certain patients that had to be flown, on an emergency basis to Spain or to Gran Canaria, for that matter, for further health care. We never had any such medical, report or referral in evidence. Neither have we obtained any evidence suggesting that there was a patient from Gran Canaria in critical condition who was flown to Ghana, all the way from Spain. They didn't have any hospital that could treat them, and they had to bring that patient to Ghana for treatment. We don't have any evidence whatsoever to suggest that there was a patient on board and on either legs of the trip, whether from Gran Canaria to Ghana, neither from Ghana to Gran Canaria. So the suspicion...
And it's also not possible that it may have landed in Ghana because of an emergency, maybe require mechanical attention or anything of a sort?
Okay, so that is for the national security to provide. And so it is only interesting that around the same time, 2 flights will come from the same place. And this air ambulance, not carrying any patients, but there was cargo in it. There were things that were carried from, there are people who work at the airport. There are people who are on the tarmac.
And so from the plane or into the plane?
From the plane. When it landed, and then when it was about to depart, to things loaded into the plane. There are people on the tarmac. And so these are things that are, in the full glare of cameras and things, it is not one that should easily...
But the content that was loaded and offloaded, you don't know the content?
That is suspected to be cocaine and suspected to be cash.
Why do you draw it down to
that is a suspicion.
Cash?
That is a suspicion. The intel...
It could have been anything else.
It could be anything, but that is the intel we have. The National Security acted on intel when they went to conduct that raid, Asapema. They had intel that there's some containers in a certain warehouse. Residents suspect the way it was brought in and the way people are around, and they suspect that the content will be cocaine or gold or, cash. And then when National Security conducted a raid, lo and behold, it was gold bars and cash, in line with the suspicion and the intel they picked. In much the same way, a few days ago, when NIB intercepted $350 million worth of cocaine in Cape Coast, they acted on intelligence.
Right.
So they had the suspicion that there's some illicit drugs, some cocaine being transported from Western region to Accra for onward shipment or flight to another destination. And then they acted quickly, got in there and got it. So all these intels should not be discounted. What we are saying is that national security, as we speak, Elton, they are fully aware of the content of the cargo. They have every information. They have all the information. So they should come clear and inform the public, just as they were very, very transparent enough to carry the public along in the Cape Coast interception of $350 million worth of cocaine, and just as they carried the media along on the February 9th raid uncovering gold and cash. What stops them? In that same way, what stops them from making full disclosure on what exactly those 2 aircraft suspiciously brought into the country and what exactly they carried out? When he asks them some of these questions, people will go like, but there's a security issue, allow the security, nothing should be said about it, no question should be thrown at them. But is the raid conducted as Asapema not a security issue? The cocaine, $350 million cocaine they intercepted at Cape Coast, is a national security issue. And when they made disclosures to the public, has that undermined the security of this country in any way? It has rather strengthened our security. And so it is important and much consistent with that principle. They make full disclosures. We have provided the registration numbers, the details of these two aircrafts, and we have provided details even as to when they landed on the tarmac and when they departed. So they should come clean and clear. If there's nothing to hide, then what stops them from making such disclosures? The longer they stay away from making these disclosures, the more suspicious it gets.
Let's see if we can clear some few things. So, do we know who owned this aircraft that landed in Ghana?
National Security knows all.
But you do not know?
At the moment, our intelligence is at it, but we haven't ascertained the actual people behind it.
The same for the air ambulance too.
Absolutely.
We do not know who brought it in the country and what it came to do. All we know is that a cargo was loaded and offloaded from this aircraft.
Yes.
And this
and national security has the gravitas. They have all the instruments and the resources to ascertain any further information related to these flights. And that is why the question is directed at them.
But if no arrest or no question is being asked, doesn't that suggest that perhaps this was a legitimate landing and taking off that,
So that is for the
that doesn't require any clarity?
That is for the national security to set the records. And if they deny, then further information available will be made. So we are waiting on them to provide responses on the details of these aircrafts, their cargo, who is behind it, and then the subsequent concerns will also be brought forth.
But you are so emphatic that this could be cocaine and money.
Suspected cocaine.
Why narrow it down to cocaine and money?
Those are the.
It could have been anything.
Those are the suspicions our intel intercepted.
And beyond putting this in the public domain, have you sought answers from the National Security Secretariat? The Minister for Interior with additional responsibility for national security is your colleague.
Oh yes. But there's nothing also stops us from the media getting involved in some of these concerns. The more transparent it is, the better it is for governance, the better it is for security. And so we are asking them legitimately. If Parliament were in session, the first instrument I would have used would have probably been an urgent question that would be filed for the National Security Coordinator or the Minister to provide answers. But Parliament is not in session. And we cannot wait until such a time when Parliament comes back. So the media, through this engagement, they pick all their intel and all that. This is a legitimate question. It is of public interest, and it's important that in line with our security and transparency, they provide all this information to the public, and then we take the conversation further.
If we should go to the airport, I'm sure we'll find so many aircraft parked on our tarmac, some private, some commercial. Why pick on just these?
So you see, there are hundreds of aircrafts that land on our soil and depart every month, hundreds of them. Have we raised any concern of any? And have we gone down? This is not speculation. These are providing specific details. So it is for, and these are all in the manifest, it is all in their details. It is for them to come out to say, yes, so and so flight, as provided by the minority, landed on our tarmac, Kotoka International Airport, on the dates suggested by the minority. And then they also departed on the date suggested by the minority. However, so and so were the operations conducted on them. And then we found this, we found that. We apprehended this, we apprehended that, we apprehended that. Or we held them on for 13 days and completed investigations and confiscated so and so cargo. And that was the reason why we grounded them for all that while. And then we were sure that so and so. So all that processes that they undertook, it is for them to come and apprise the public. Because we haven't lumped every flight together. These are the specific flights we have referenced.
And you say that in the last 3 months that this government has been in office, there's been so many reported cases of issues relating to money laundering, relating to cocaine, and and so what is this telling you?
Yeah, so it is quite concerning for the ordinary Ghanaian who has been in this country for the past 8 years, who hears the news of, Ghana ranked consistently second most peaceful country in Africa, attracting many, hundreds and thousands of tourists every year. December, the year of return, and all the other Afrochella and many, concerts and tourist attractions haven't brought in, thousands of tourists. It has also brought in thousands of investments, FDI, billions of FDI. All these credentials relating to our peace and security and declining, trajectory of crime rates have given us a shining credentials. That is not something we should throw away.
Right.
That is something that gets us concerning if within a space of just 3 months, we seem to be degenerating into, Ghana becoming a safe haven for drug trafficking all of a sudden again, becoming a safe haven for money laundering, becoming a safe haven for pirates attack, as the Ghana Armed Forces, reported just last week.
Right.
We are concerned. We want to hold on to our enviable, status of the second most peaceful country in Africa. And even globally, well, our TISA group, we had Global Peace Index, many notable organizations ranking us even more favorably ahead of Australia and Canada. And so that is the kind of image we want to keep. And we're expecting that President Mahama and his government will invest into our security architecture and even build on our resilience and ensure that we consolidate on the peace and security we've enjoyed. But all of a sudden, all you hear is cocaine is coming back, money laundering is heightening again, and pirates. For all this while, when was the last time there was a pirate attack?
And also, we don't even know the states of the Chinese nationals who are on board this.
Yes, so for the benefit of those...
But that also raises you about Chinese people fishing on our waters.
Yeah, so according to the statement that was put out, the press release that was put out by Ghana Armed Forces, they indicated that the fishing vessel is a Ghanaian registered fishing vessel. And they even quoted the registration number.
Yes.
Yes, Magazine 1. And they stated that it's a Ghanaian registered fishing vessel. You can have a Ghanaian registered fishing vessel and have foreign nationals who are the crew. So that matter, we are asking them to provide further, investigation. But one thing we must take note is that, all Ghana needs is 2 offshore, patrol vessels. One station somewhere towards the Togo border and another station somewhere towards the Ivory Coast border. When pirates are aware that you have this robust, offshore patrol vessels, it can sight pirates from very far, nautical mile far away, and drive them away from even entering our waters. So, once you have it, it is deterrent because they pick their intelligence before they act. And they know that before they will get to our waters, they will be apprehended. That is what we need. And that is what I'm expecting, that the Ministry of Finance will prioritize for the Ministry of Defense so that we do this.
They can purchase the vessel.
So that we get Ghana Navy. They are willing to do all these things. It's not difficult for them, but they need the right equipment, the right patrol vessels to be able to keep our waters safe. And so it is urgent. But you recall that sometime in 2024, when the request was brought by Ghana Navy and through Ghana Armed Forces.
The minority voted against it.
And then it was before Parliament for considering. We had even engaged IMF, and a window had been opened for the purchase because it was a critical, purchase needed for our security. The minority in Parliament used their numbers to oppose this. They fiercely, rejected this, and in the end, it was terminated. It was aborted. Now they are in power. And the first thing, we started seeing accompanying their tenure is pirate attacks, very concerning pirate attacks. How many pirate attacks are they going to sit down to record before they see the need to equip the Ghana Navy with the required, offshore patrol vessels to curtail this incident of attacks?
All right.
So we are urging them to do the needful and purchase any suitable. We are not necessarily saying they should go to the same source or buy the same thing we're buying, but something that will help us fight suitable, robust offshore patrol vessels that will be very, very critical in our fights against pirates.
And in few seconds, are there timelines we are giving national security to respond to the 2 key issues that you've mentioned?
No, I think I have to give them the courtesy. I won't give them, 24 hours or 48 hours. But as a concerned actor, within a reasonable time, I mean, if the image of the national security is one that is also very concerning to them, within reasonable time, they should come out and respond to these concerns.
All right.
And then make things transparent to the people of Ghana. So we have continued confidence in our national security apparatus as proactive, pragmatic, on top of issues, and transparent, carrying everybody along and dealing with these issues. And when investigations are done, people are not shelved, but I mean, they bring them out. In a matter of media trial, you see NDC trying people in the media, former appointees in the media. Why are they selectively doing so? Why don't they? These are what is even more important to bring to the media than this matter.
This what you've done.
No. Yeah,
I think, yes.
Than I mean, this gold. We February 9th we raided this warehouse, and as we showed you the pictures of the gold, then you do a press conference. So we got so and so quantities of gold bars. It is it amounts to so and so billions of dollars. The cash we retrieved, we counted it, and it's so and so specified amount. But more importantly, the people behind it are so and so. We are still investigating, or we've been able to apprehend them. And those are the kind of media engagement expected.
We'll do that.
Media trials.
We'll do that. And of course, we want to put a question to...
And also the flights.
The flights. Too. The Ministry of Interior obviously will have some questions to answer on this matter. But Reverend, thank you so much for coming through. Hopefully next time we will talk about the promotions in the Ghana Army and why you have some concerns about it. We'll take a short break here on it, but when we return, I'll bring in the Chief Executive of the Ghana Maritime Authority. Perhaps he can provide some perspective on these piracy activities on our seas. Welcome back. This is the pulse here on Joy News. Now, let's settle for our second conversation. Now, have you ever wondered how the mobile phone in your hand, the laptop on your desk like the one I'm using right now, the medication you take, or even the car you drive made their way to Ghana? I can tell you, almost everything came by sea. The maritime industry is a multi-billion-dollar powerhouse with countless subsectors broadly described as the blue economy. Now, in fact, the blue economy encompasses the sustainable use of ocean and coastal resources to drive economic growth, create jobs, and improve livelihoods whilst preserving the health of marine ecosystem. In Ghana, the Ghana Maritime Authority, established under the Ghana Maritime Authority Act 2202 at 630, is the principal agency responsible for regulation, monitoring, coordinating activities in the marine sector. Now, this afternoon, we have in the studio the Acting Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Dr. Kamel Dean Ali, and he joins me. We are privileged to have you, Dr. Ali. Good afternoon. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
30 days of fasting finally is over, renewed for the tax ahead?
Yes, renewed for the tax ahead, and I say Eid Mubarak to every Ghanaian.
Right.
Because we are in a multicultural and a multi-religious society. But more so to my own region, in Upper West region, and then my constituency was Central.
Right, right. Before you came in, I was having a discussion with Malik about the fact that in the 2020, in the last elections, I spent 2 nights at your new office at around the Parliament House.
Yes, please.
Yeah, because the Electoral Commission spoke to the authority to allow the use of the facility for some of the people, especially the media week. So 2 nights I spent it there.
Okay.
So I was asking, when are you guys moving into this beautiful, structure? When is that happening? I see you still using the old office.
Yes. We are expected to move into it in the next couple of months. It's a building that has been long over delayed. This project ought to have completed in 2022.
Right.
What it means is that it is 3 years delayed. Hopefully, since we came into office, we have, and through the leadership of my minister, because I'm here to have a board, we've been working assiduously with the contractors. There were quite a number of knotty issues to be addressed. But
around the building?
Around the building and the construction. But you also take note that one of the things His Excellency President Mahama has promised is the continuity of existing projects.
Right.
So we ought to move around the clock with management. And finally, we had those issues resolved. And then we have got a committed program for the building to be completed soon. So plus or minus, we hope that it wouldn't take more than 3 months for us to move into the building. So thanks to the leadership of my minister and my management that I've worked with in resolving those issues and getting the contractor on track for us to complete the building.
All right. So if you are watching and you are wondering what this maritime business is all about, perhaps you can help break it down for us.
Okay, I would help break it down, but let me say a couple of things. One is to thank His Excellency President Mahama for appointing me to this position, which is humbling. I have the opportunity to work with my minister, that's the Honorable Joseph Nikpe, who is the Minister for Transport.
Right.
And a board that is yet to be constituted to achieve the vision of His Excellency in this particular area. I'm sure there are quite a number of people that could be appointed to the position looking at various yardsticks, but he found it very appropriate to entrust me with that responsibility, so that is humbling. And the second thing is that before I come to that, and I'm sure we'll be having a longer conversation,
right.
is to also say that, as I indicated, that we are yet to have a board. So I'll be speaking to issues that I'm speaking within my own purview now, but some of which will be fine-tuned when we have a board in place. Luckily, I have delayed also in speaking with the media because I wanted to know what are the priorities of my minister. So over the last couple of weeks, you would have realized that the Honorable Nikpe has been engaging with a lot of stakeholders.
Yes.
And in doing so, he has laid clearly some of the priorities that he will embark on in achieving the vision of the president. So these are the caveats that I start with. And you ask, what is this all about? You did actually in your introduction, and I was very much happy with how you went about it, exhaustively covering what the maritime domain is and what the blue economy is. We can speak to it extensively, but talking about it in the context of the country, we are having a maritime space that is crucial for our economy, crucial for our telecommunication sector, crucial to what we eat, crucial to what we export, crucial to the revenue that we generate in the country. So in other words, the maritime corridor, which I work in, together with some colleagues like the Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority and the Ghana Navy, is the most, or one of the most important lifelines to our economy and our country. And that is where our stewardship is.
I mean, before you came in, you know, Reverend Intim Fojo, the ranking of the Defense and Interior Committee, raised concerns about the statement that came from the Ghana Navy regarding some pirate activity that resulted in the kidnapping of the captain of a vessel, a Chinese national. How related are you to this kind of activity?
Oh, we are very core, and that statement did not come out of the Navy without consultation. It is more or less, although it was issued by the Ghana Armed Forces and issued by my senior colleague in the Armed Forces, you know, I also have the opportunity of serving in the military for 7 years.
Absolutely.
Brigadier General Agriquashi. It is something that represented a consensus of the stakeholders that have been involved in responding to the piracy incident. And it was very exhaustive for the period for which it was meant to be. It sent out clear information on the piracy incident and what critical stakeholders in the line of duty were doing in respect of that piracy attack. Clearly, it has taken a number of days now, and more information is available to us. This incident involved Mezzin 1, which is one of the fishing vessels under the flag of Ghana, off our coast. It was attacked in this most vulnerable position. And then three crew members were abducted. Reading through the news, since the one that has been issued by the Ghana Armed Forces, you will note that even the Chinese ministry and China as a country is confirming that the abducted citizens are
Chinese.
safe, that they are safe now. So that is at best what we can say now.
They are safe but not released.
Exactly, that their life is not in danger as we speak, not in danger as being killed or being injured, but quite a lot of discussion is going on between the major stakeholders in respect of that particular operation.
We don't know whether the kidnappers are asking for ransom.
Those are many matters that are and other issues that major stakeholders are handling now, and then we will leave them at that. And as and when there are developments that the public need to know, we would incrementally mention that. But it is sufficient to know that all the stakeholders, our national intelligence apparatus, the Ghana Maritime Authority, the Ghana Navy, in collaboration with neighboring countries, are working on this particular issue. Let's note that this is not an isolated issue to Ghana. Only 2 days before the Ghana incident, one happened in Equatorial Guinea, where Equatorial Guinea, Sao Tome and Principe, that didn't involve a commercial vessel. It even involved a normal, sorry, it didn't involve a fishing vessel. It involved a normal vessel. Yes, some abductions took place. Incidents such as this do happen in the maritime space. We had a crescendo of it at the highest level in 2019-2020. But since then, there has been quite a lot of effort at national and regional level, including global level, that has decreased the number of incidents, although we have had some incidents still in the last 2-3 years.
So, if somebody is listening, I mean, when we talk about piracy, the person's, I mean, the thinking is that this is way beyond Ghana. It's not something that, as a Ghanaian, I should be worried about. I should be thinking about Somalia or the activity that the U.S. military is undertaking somewhere in the Middle East to deal with this particular matter. So when we hear these things, should I be worried that this has come home to me, or we have authorities firmly in control of the situation?
Oh, both are right. First is that we need to be worried because crime is crime, and wherever crime is happening, and especially if it is happening in our maritime domain, we need to be worried. Technically, there's a difference between piracy and armed robbery at sea, but we don't need to get into all those nuances now. For now, let's just speak to the fact that piracy will involve the hijacking of a vessel by itself or crew members at sea for certain purposes. So we need to all be worried when that happens. But Elton, remember that there are quite a number of robberies that take place on land daily.
Absolutely.
Yes, but we are concerned about them. So as much as we are concerned about what we see in piracy, but we should understand that these criminal elements do hit from time to time. But what we do as agencies in this particular line of duty is to be able to respond when it happens and to put in place remedial measures to prevent future ones from happening.
But you will say that Ghana's territorial waters are safe?
Oh yes, certainly, generally very safe. Otherwise, we would have had high level of criminal activities happening. We would have had substantial decrease in port calls. We would have had unique concerns every day to tackle. So although we have this incident that has happened, which is a source of concern, and we are studying that, we are looking at that to see how we address future incidents. But we are very, very safe generally as a country. So
as you draw down the authority you inherited, what were you told, or what have you uncovered?
Oh, I have inherited an authority. Here means the Ghana Maritime Authority that I describe as being built over a period of years. Luckily, I am the 4th DG of the Ghana Maritime Authority, as much as His Excellency is the 4th John of the Republic of Ghana. So being the 4th DG of the authority, what it means, DG Azuma, DG Kwame Owusu, DG Alonzi, who has just left and have inherited, So I've taken over an authority that has incrementally been built. Yes, there are many challenges to address, but I'm very optimistic that working with the leadership that is in front of me, we are able to address some of those challenges and take the authority to a higher and more productive level.
And our laws on our maritime laws and regulations, are they that effective in responding to the current needs?
We have quite a lot of maritime legislations in place. The Maritime Authority Act itself, the Shipping Act, a number of regulations that we have. So we do have some level of adequate legislation, but there are other areas that we are plugging. There has been on stream, for example, a Piracy and Maritime Offences Act that has been on the drawing board for a while.
What would that do exactly?
What it will do is to provide much more stricter response to piracy in the form of clarifying, criminalization, adjudication, punishment, and the rest. So that is what it is.
Currently, we don't have that.
Currently,
or they are not adequate.
Exactly, they are not adequate. We have in our Criminal Offences Act in Ghana legislations that are, or provisions that are a bit old and do not respond to the kind of modern day piracy that we are thinking about, which is transnational, and then you need to address this in a multifaceted way. So that is going to come. And then there are a few other critical legislations. For example, even in the area of the fishing that we have just mentioned, there is what we call the implementation instrument of the Cape Town Agreement. That is also on stream. My minister is picking this as some of the key things to submit to Cabinet so that action can be taken quickly, so that we can be good in those areas. But we need to provide other legislations in order to have a comprehensive governance of our maritime space and other instruments and policy frameworks. And all these are in the offing, including the implementation of the National Integrated Maritime Strategy, which has also been validated, affirmed by the former president, but the implementation never started. You know, so these are some of the milestones that we'll be picking and be working on.
So these reforms are ones that you are pushing for them to come through?
Yes. Yes, we are pushing for them to come through, but they will also require a matching of the necessary expertise, the necessary leadership, and the necessary resources in order to transform the maritime sector.
Right. So the punishment regime that you spoke early on, that means that there will be new laws that Parliament may have to consider. Okay. Is that a process?
Okay, what I mentioned, for example, if you go to our Criminal Offences Act and you look at provisions around 193, 194, it provides for piracy, but it only provided for piracy in a limited way. You have for example, let's take this particular incident that has happened. There will be networks that are involved in this particular incident, and you can't just target the 4 pirates that boarded the ship. You need to target the network that surrounds that particular offense. So this particular legislation that we are talking of, when passed into law, will provide a more comprehensive framework for punishing all those that are in the line of the piracy.
So in the interim, what are we doing to deal with the inadequacy of that law?
Oh, the 193 and 194, in a way, are still good, but they are insufficient. Elton, you remember that some years ago we had the MT Maritime case, where Ghana Navy, in one of the most highly skilled way, was able to interdict a vessel at sea. And I say this with all the pride of the officers and the crew that did that particular operation, was one of the unique operations ever conducted globally, where the Ghana Navy was able to board a ship and arrest pirates on board the ship. This is very unique in the MT Maritime case. But somehow, we were not able to comprehensively prosecute the MT Maritime pirates because this was somewhere in 2015.
Right.
This was because our legislation wasn't as comprehensive as to deal with elements such as the MT Maritime pirates.
Right.
They had, for example, hijacked that vessel not in our waters,
but outside
but in
of
Nigerian waters, and brought it into our waters. So there are quite a lot of juridical complications relating to that, which our law couldn't particularly take care of. So finally, we had to extradite them to Nigeria for trial. So all these lacuna and others are now being taken care of in the new legislation that we are looking at.
Is that the Maritime Offences Bill that you are proposing?
Yes, that's the Maritime Offences Bill.
And so in terms of the punishment regime, is there a proposal in this bill that spells out, if you are caught, this is the punishment that will be meted out to you? You also mentioned that sometimes it's not just about those that you arrest on the shipping, but you also need to extend to cover the networks. The network may be operating outside the shores of Ghana.
Yes. Yeah, so there are provisions when you talk about that, but remember that it is still a bill. As a matter of fact, it is technically not even a bill until it is presented to Parliament
and passed.
Yeah, it is not a bill. So I wouldn't be able to speak about it as if it is something that is operational, because Parliament has the mandate to decide whether what has been presented to them, either in form of the provisions or the punishment, they will tweak it in many ways. But let's be straight that this didn't come out of nothing. I had the opportunity of taking part in this work as a consultant far before I came into this office. And a lot of stakeholders were consulted into this, including the highest level for our judiciary. For example, I do remember that one of the final workshops that we held consisted of Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, and High Court judges, up to about 20 to 25 of them that comprehensively reviewed this. So it is something that I believe that when it is finally passed, when a cabinet finally presented to Parliament, that it will meet a good expectation of Parliament, and Parliament within their mandate will see how they will finalize.
Meaning a lot of work needs to be done.
Yes, a lot of work has been done by the major stakeholders like Ghana Maritime Authority, the Minister of Transport, the Attorney General Office in working on this. Cabinet just have to give the policy approval and for the ministry to lay it before Parliament, and Parliament will take it up. And I think that when Parliament has that opportunity, they will still consult a number of stakeholders. By looking at what I know it is, Parliament will have a relatively easier work to handle when it comes to that.
It looks like interest in this conversation is getting bigger, especially on our social media, because I'm getting a lot of questions here. Somebody's asking, says, we hear shipping lines are milking the Ghanaian shippers, and currently cases are before the court against some shipping lines. What do you make of the compliance of maritime laws by shipping lines in the country? I don't know whether...
No, this is a whole different conversation altogether. Within more of my minister's remit, I also play a role in it, but also my other counterpart, that is the Ghana Shippers Authority. So I will leave it at that. And if you look at it in the media a couple of weeks ago, the minister has been speaking to that issue, and the minister has been leading a discussion and building a consensus around that issue.
Because the person following up with this question says the shipping lines are charging some unapproved fees, such as unauthorized demurrage, etc. This also falls with the Ghana Shipping Authority?
No, I go back to that. A demurrage is quite a legal thing, and that has to do with the fact that when you are unable to clear goods within a certain period, yes, but I know that there are technical issues regarding that. And with my counterpart on the other side, Professor Jampo, ours, Ghana Maritime Authority, and under the leadership of our ministry, and my other counterpart, that is the Director General Ports and Harbour Authority, General Tanya, that issue are being discussed, and then finding a better solution to it.
Doc, let's stay a little longer on the ports.
Yes.
And I'm asking whether in terms of the key infrastructure and the work that you do, are there gaps that you think that if well addressed will maximize the best from our ports?
No, did you say the port?
Yes.
Oh, the port, that is within the domain of General Tanya.
You don't have any relationship with them?
We do regulate the ships as they are in the port. As they are in the port, we do regulate. And we do regulate activities in the port. But the custodian of the port and the running of the port and port activities is within the remit of Brigadier General Tanya. And I would not be speaking on that because I'm sure when you have him, he'll be able to lay his vision on that and how that again tallies with our minister's vision and the president's vision in that area.
Now let's talk about revenue, because I know that the authority, I mean, you survive on the revenue that you generate.
Yes.
What are the key sources in terms of revenue generation for the Maritime Authority?
Oh, I would say generally is the shipping industry on the maritime industry. As we provide services in that area, we also generate revenue for the administrative running of the authority. We also provide services beyond this, limited services to the oil and gas industry. Remember that we do a lot of critical jobs. We just don't focus on shipping, but we are also playing a major role in the safety and security of our offshore infrastructure, our submarine cables, our pipelines, and a number of things. So through these areas, at times, we get some administrative financial support, as much as I said, the shipping industry tends to be the bigger and the larger one. So if you are talking about direct revenue to us, that is what it means. But remember
but are you getting the maximum out of it?
The maximum out of it is also a function of how much maritime activity we are able to create. There was a period, because of the COVID and many factors, when we have substantial decline in ship calls to the ports, and that certainly affected. For example, also, the more oil and gas activities that we have, that will have a relative influence on our economy generally, but also on some of the administrative inflows of the Ghana Navy. The Ghana Maritime Authority. So enough generally, yes, but we have challenges in also raising to meet the desired budget that we have.
And what are some of the challenges?
We have, for example, a high budget in the area of compensation for workers.
Salaries.
Salaries is one of the huge areas.
Meaning your workforce is large.
Our workforce is large, unfortunately. To put it this way, my organization that I lead has moved from a staff complement that is almost 400% in the last couple of years.
400%?
Yes. So we have a staff complement, for example, of less than 110 in 2017, and I inherited something that is nearing 600 staff members.
From 2017 to 2025?
Exactly.
From 107?
About 110.
110
yes,
to 600?
So about getting to 600. So that is a very high level compensation budget for the Ghana Maritime Authority to meet. It is an overemployment, and I'm sure this has been characterized by many other agencies in the country. That doesn't really match up with the financial growth of the authority, nor does it even match up with the expertise that is required to run the affairs of the authority. But these and other matters are being looked at to see how the staff complement can be looked into and brought to reasonable level. Otherwise, what it means is that you have a high staff budget that is hanging on the authority's neck. You are also having a situation where you are unable to employ others in future, but more importantly, you have a situation where expertise will not match productivity and work environment. So
the word you use here is that overly employed.
Yes.
Meaning you have people who have been employed and may not have nothing to do. Is that what it means?
To some extent, we do have a good numbers of that, because there haven't been a match up with the employment and defining roles for them, nor do we even need all those hands within the authority.
So the possibility of layouts is high?
Yeah, sure, which is part of His Excellency's resetting vision. Because we need to give life to almost every institution, including the Ghana Maritime Authority. So where there are matters that are more or less obstructing us from the growth and from delivering the services that we are supposed to deliver to Ghana, imagine also that when you have an organization, you just don't need to create jobs, but you need to let the organization be more functional.
Right.
I'm sure if we had 100 people in this room with you, you wouldn't be able to do the work that you are supposed to do. So numbers alone is never positive. It can be a challenge. But more importantly, you need to build the skills to accompany those numbers. And there is no need having somebody employed, and 4 or 5 years' time in the person's employment life, the person cannot show that there is growth in the person's skill. The person cannot show how much the person is delivering to the economy. These challenges are things that they can undermine the sustainability of an organization.
And from your analysis, the conclusion perhaps is that these people were employed without taking into consideration the fact that there wasn't enough available space for them to fill.
Yes, some of those analyses were not done well, but luckily for us, as I said, our minister is looking into this under the leadership of the Chief of Staff as well, that is tasked with ensuring these organizations are able to survive well, not to be bogged down by overemployed people. More formal methods are being used to look into this and to see how we reset the system in such a way that it can be more productive.
So layoff is possible?
Those are policy issues that, yes, it's possible. If the word is possible, yes, it's possible.
The revenue, beyond generating revenue for the authority, can the Ghana Maritime Authority be a major revenue driver for the nation? Oh,
we do. We are already doing. Remember that a large number of the revenue for this country and our GDP is from ports. So our ministry, that's the Ministry of Transport, creates much of the wealth for this country, either through the work that we do, my colleagues on the Navy side, my colleagues on the shippers side, my colleagues on the Ports and Harbour Authority side, and the GRA we do. So we are already a major revenue driver for the country. And from what we also do, we contribute to employment and economic drive.
Right.
We supervise and regulate all the agencies that need to deliver to our economy, whether oil and gas, shipping, and the rest. So we are no doubt a major driver of our economy.
So if that potential is there, then obviously you need people.
Yes.
To help achieve that.
Yes.
And so expansion become key.
Yes. Expansion can always be key, but you know there is always, you need to match growth with employment and graduate it in such a way that it achieves a certain result. And of course, it is always also the case that there is endless expansion. At the end of the day, you need a certain skill set to run a certain industry. So as much as, for example, Joy FM can expand, but we cannot overnight have a certain level of employees. What it will mean is that you will not even have the opportunity to expand again because you are going to suffocate under that.
All right. My final question on this matter of the revenue, somebody's asking that. I mean, if you are a major revenue driver for the country, in what ways and how do you even make it even better?
We have been mentioning that already. We are a major revenue driver from the country because if we look at shipping, shipping forms a major backbone of our economy. The second, when I say a major backbone, everything that comes in and comes out is shipping, and you already covered that. Of course. You know, we mentioned the issue of port revenue. GRA creates a huge amount of money from the imports and exports of this country. So we are a major revenue driver. We anchor the activities of the teleco. If you go to the Ghana Maritime Authority now, you go and see our situational room, and you will see very dedicated people that are sitting there. They are watching over the telecom lines that we have in this country, the fiber optic cables, and they are watching over it 24 hours the whole year.
Right.
And what they are doing is making sure that these are not disrupted. You remember what happened last year and the substantial disruption that we had in the country last year, February. So this was a disruption of our submarine cables. Right. So you go there and you have the West African gas pipeline, the oil and gas industry. We are playing a critical role in safeguarding all this. So we just don't regulate as an authority, but we work and ensure that there is direct safety outcomes of what we do. And that feeds directly into our economy and the growth of our economy. And we do this, of course, with other important stakeholders.
And the issue of the blue economy and how we can maximize that. Are you taking the lead role?
Yes, we are playing a major role, and we do this in collaboration with other agencies. If you watch the news, for example, you realize that under the leadership of our minister and the Minister of Tourism, for example, paid a courtesy call on boarding of a cruise ship that was in Ghana's port.
The Takoradi port.
Yeah, Takoradi port. Yes. No, Accra port actually, Tema port actually. So this is one of the changes that you are seeing. So it's an untapped area when it comes to cruise ships, for example, that there has been an increasing number of cruise ships, but we haven't put in place the energy and the policy to drive that. And the minister and his other minister, co-minister of tourism are already looking into that area. We need to move beyond just regulating as an authority to leading and telling people. So one of the things that we are going to do in the coming days and when our board is in place and working with the minister is what we call the Blue Economy Assurance Project.
Right.
This is to be forward working to lead in such a way that people are able to see what are the opportunities and to have assurance in their ability to tap into the blue economy. One other area is seafaring.
Right.
A matter also that the minister has already taken very strongly, and we are pursuing that. Ghana is naturally a maritime industry, country. As a matter of fact, in the whole of Africa, we don't compete with anybody for that destiny. If anybody comes closer to us, it's Morocco, and perhaps far from behind is Kenya. We don't compete with that destiny. What has happened is that we haven't captured it the way it is supposed to.
Right.
We know that under our first president, President Nkrumah, that particular destiny was being realized, but it was truncated in many ways. And I'm sure as part of the resetting agenda and under the leadership of the minister, you see us taking key steps to build upon whatever existed, but in a greater way with higher momentum in order to achieve the greatest benefits in the blue economy, including seafaring. We need to create jobs for our youth. It is not an easy thing.
Absolutely,
we can have a whole conversation over that. There are many complicated issues to tackle.
Like what?
But the good thing is that you are having the minister who is already spearheading that discussion, because it is part of the greatest vision of the president that our youth must be employed. If we say of what? For example, we are having cadets that are coming out of the regional maritime university. They are being trained as cadets with the what? Academic knowledge and limited practical knowledge. They need sea time. And the sea time will take about 1 year. And that sea time is what will prepare them for the industry. As a country, we don't have a training ship. As a country, we have limited flags. And because we have limited flags, we don't have opportunity to put our cadets on board our flags in order to have that sea time. You just know, Elton, how difficult it is for somebody to intern, even on land. On land, when the person is interning, the person is only spending a couple of hours with the company and going back home. Imagine somebody who is to spend 1 year interning on a ship, 24 hours, sleeping, being fed, insurance, medical, security, safety. So it is a very convoluted set of issues. And to get a shipping line to agree to do that, you need to take a lot of steps. And this is one of the areas that we are moving in order to ensure that we have greater dialogue with the major shipping companies, including MEX, including others, to open the way for our cadets. Then we have employment.
Before you move on, the limited flags.
Yes.
This is a technical area, right? And we are not following, so if you can break it down for us.
Okay, so what I mean is that ships have nationality, and their nationality is their flag. And as a country, we have laws. The laws are such that if you are flying our flag, then we are entitled to have a certain number of crew complement. And we could...
On the ship.
On the ship. And we could use that to also say that you should have two of our cadets on board your ship for the period. But because we don't have many ships flying our flag, we don't have this ability to create more definite employment based on our flag.
And also limiting their hands-on experience.
Exactly. So that is the product then. So what we are now trying to do is that how do we engage with other countries to make sure that we have bilateral relationships that will allow our cadets to train on board them. The other level is that how do we reinvigorate our manning industry, our recruitment industry, so that they can be able to recruit, because some of the best captains historically in the world are Ghanaians.
Oh, that's nice.
You should know that a Ghanaian was the first person, black, to have ever sailed a ship across the Atlantic. We have had very, very formidable Ghanaian women who have captained ships and they stand tall. So this is an area, go along the coast and you see the history from all along from Winneba through to Takoradi. You see a rich history of people who have left legacy in this area. So that is something that we need to build on. We have that particular historical reputation, but we just need to tweak a number of things to make sure that we can expand the crewing industry as well and create more jobs for our youth.
But is there appetite for businessmen to play a role in this blue economy? That is, if government is able to lay out the infrastructure to encourage them to come, is the appetite there?
There is appetite, and there are people who are already working in the area, and they need more support from government in terms of policy and leadership support. And I'm sure that that is what will be offered. Of course, I'm not saying that it has never been there, but we need to build upon that. And as I describe myself as being the fourth leg of the Ghana Maritime Authority, we have that opportunity to do more in that particular area. So there is appetite, and we just need to make sure that we strengthen it and grow it in a way that we can have much more. I must admit that some of the areas you require more investment. For example, if we take our oil and gas industry, for example, local Ghanaians are not able to take advantage of it.
Right.
We are not able to take advantage of it. The local content laws and the cabotage law. Cabotage means, you see, cabotage is a regime that governs the right of a country to make the best out of trade or activities between its coast. For example, you are lifting clinker or bauxite from Tema, from Takoradi to Tema. For example, you are linking an activity between Tema or Takoradi and the offshore oil and gas platforms. These activities are happening within our maritime space. And ideally, we as a country should be able to take advantage of cabotage. Cabotage means trade beyond your port in order to get a lot of economies of scale. Remember, Elton, there is no economy that is bigger in the world than shipping.
Absolutely.
Simple put, shipping is the biggest economy.
Right.
So what has happened is that in this particular area, although we have the laws, we haven't had Ghanaians being able to invest in order to have ships to be able to take advantage of the economic scale in that area, just one or two. So it is an area that I'm sure with the leadership of the President and His Excellency, they will also be looking at how they build Ghanaian business in that area. Acquiring a vessel is not an easy thing. It requires a lot of things to handle. But I'm sure that these are some of the areas that we'll be looking at.
And then the last one, the blue economy, I don't know whether there's plan in motion to acquire, for example, a training ship for some of our students coming out from the Maritime University, for example.
Yes, a training ship has been on the drawing line. And I do know that at some point that discussion was drawing board. And I'm sure that that discussion was going at some point with the Koreans. It hasn't really resulted, it hasn't been fruitful. It is a matter that we are yet to pay closer attention to. And when we have a board, we'll be tracking back with the Regional Maritime University, but with the Ministry of Finance in this particular case, to see where things are and how we can pick up that discussion. Because having a training ship is very crucial, ultimately, in giving our cadets those hands-on skills that they need in order to be employable.
But a few issues before we go. Are we getting, what is the level of compliance for international shipping lines as it relates to our maritime laws and regulations?
Oh, they do comply generally by and large. When you, for example, from our point of view, our regulatory point of view, when you go to the port on every day, you get our officials, you get port officials, we are boarding ships, we are inspecting ships. The Ghana Maritime Authority functions almost like DVLA. You understand?
Right.
Yes. So we have to make sure that every ship is seaworthy. It doesn't matter where the ship comes from. Once it enters our maritime space, and when you go to the port, you have our workers doing this or our staff doing this important work. And the compliance generally is very high. Of course, wherever there is no compliance, we take corrective measures. And when there is a need for penalty, we do impose a penalty. But compliance is generally high, although we need to also do more in order to expand.
And anytime, you know, our leaders, anytime they had to speak about the maritime area, you'll hear words like illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing. How severe is this concern in our maritime space?
Okay, fisheries is another area altogether. And what you call IUU, illegal and unreported and unregulated, is another domain. You know, we have, again, the president has appointed, you know, a very strong minister in that area to follow upon the work of the former minister. You have Professor Campion, who is the executive director of the Fisheries Commission. This is exactly what their domain is, and I'm sure at some point you may want to bring Professor Campion, for example, to your studio to explain further. He is somebody with great experience in the area. But what this means is a number of things put together and generally describe some of the inappropriate things that might be happening in the maritime space that may, in relation to fisheries, that will border on criminality, and that is what we call illegal unreported. It is a whole area altogether, and particular activities are what you may look at. And this is not only limited to just the trawlers and the shipping, but the vessels is also something that applies to our canoes also. And it's a whole area for discussion.
And as we begin to wrap up, what would you like to be remembered for the period that you serve as Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority?
Or as somebody who helped in achieving the vision that the president is asking us to achieve, as somebody who has worked productively with the board and with the minister in the transformation agenda, as somebody who have left a staff, so a management that we become more productive collectively, but as somebody who would have left the Ghana Maritime Authority as a much more efficient and to perform at a higher level. Luckily, I have a combination of things that are to my benefit. Apart from a maritime experience, I'm a military officer. Retired. And I think that is an asset from the state to me. And I bring that to the table of the Ghana Maritime Authority so that we are more efficient, more disciplined, and able to work to achieve those objectives that have been set, that we have been set to, and build upon whatever my predecessors have put in place since the authority started.
So there are better days ahead?
I think so. There are better days ahead. I've seen quite a lot of energy on the part of the minister, Honorable Nipe. I'm hoping to see also a lot of energy on the part of the board. I've already been discussing with my management, and they're seeing quite a lot of transformation, transparent, effective, demand result-oriented leadership.
Right.
And I'm sure that they are prepared to walk that road together so that collectively we can achieve the vision of the president.
All right. Dr. Kameruddin Ali, thank you so much for coming through. This is just the first media engagement. Hopefully, we'll be reviewing as the days goes by in terms of your policy and vision to make this one of our key drivers of the Ghanaian economy.
Thank you very much for having me, Elton. I'm very grateful.
Right, so you've been listening to Dr. Kameruddin Ali. He is the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority. And of course, I mean, you've heard him. I mean, a former military officer. I've never come across a military officer that speaks so eloquently. and I guess that he will bring on board to effect the transformational change that he envisaged at the Ghana Maritime Authority. We'll take a short break here on the pause and return with more. Welcome back. This is a pause on Joy Now. The Western North Regional Minister, Wilbert Petty Brinchum, has denied allegations of halting a joint military and forestry commission anti-Galamsey operation in the Tano Anya Forest. The Western North Regional Minister has come under strong criticism for allegedly stopping security operatives from carting excavators from the forest and ordering them to return 15 of the seized excavators to the Galamsey operators. Yes, Joy News' Erastus Aridonko's account of the incident.
There was a banter between the deputy forest manager and the team who would not allow them to seize the 25 excavators. So there were other confrontations. The district and divisional police commanders sent men in there ostensibly to arrest the team because they claim they are not aware of their operation. And it baffles my mind how the police suddenly got interested in illegal miners who are being chased out of the forest, when indeed it was within their jurisdiction to do so, and they have not done so. Subsequently, the Western North Regional Minister drove into the forest himself. He also asking the soldiers to stop tracking the equipment to the nearest assembly because he claims he was not notified. It was after we stepped in. And yes, the regional minister, Mr. Brintum, went in there and asked them to stop tracking the equipment to the nearest. So I sent him a message. In fact, I called him. He could not pick. I sent him a message asking why he wants them to stop. These are illegal miners. These are nature criminals who have invaded the forest for months.
Well, the regional minister, that's the Western North Regional Minister, Wilbert Brinchum, is denying the allegation, insisting that his directive was to the mining firm in the forest, not the task force. Listen to him.
Nothing of that nature happened. I did not stop any activity of the military and then the Forestry Commission in helping all of us to stop illegality. I did not stop anybody. In any case, I don't owe that power. You see, let me give you a little background.
No, I want to understand something before you move on. Now, you said you were going for a funeral when you met these people. You go down to exchange pleasantries. And then they led you to a certain point, which, of course, you went beyond the Dunko River, right? Now,
yes, you went along it.
Okay. So where were these seized equipment parked? And where did you make the remark that what they were doing was not, more than what the illegal miners were doing?
Yes. The point is that when you were traveling along that stretch where they had done this devastation and all those way, we did not see excavators. It was only at the point where you stopped that we saw one excavator coming from an operational area onto a high place. Okay. So at that time, there were no excavators parked there. And in fact, if you turn around, you could see about 5 excavators that were parked, that were standing at various places in the area. And that was at that point when I called the clean jobs guy to ask him all those questions and requested their documents.
Okay.
As for the military and the forestry, I didn't have anything to do with them. All what I said was that these people have worked, they have not done any reclamation, and they have not said anything. But let me give you a background to all these things.
Well, I don't have enough time, but so you didn't order for the excavators to be stopped from being dragged out of the place?
At all. What I told them to stop was the mining operations. Okay.
But what did you tell our reporter when he got in touch with you as to why you were stopping the excavators?
Your reporter, in fact, he called at the time when, as I told you, I came because of funeral and then other things. That's my hometown. I came. So when he called me 2 times, I didn't see. Then when I picked the phone, I was about to call and I saw that he sent a message. So then I told my personal assistant that he knows I am hosting some people in the house because of the reason we came. So he should take the phone and then talk to him, tell him that if there is anything, we can talk later. Okay. Or if there is something that he can respond to, he should respond.
Okay.
That was just that. So I didn't talk to the reporter. But if
All right, so we'll end it here for today. It's been exciting. I mean, I enjoyed every conversation that we've had today. I guess we enjoyed it. So whatever you are up to in the hours ahead, I hope it's profitable. The Salah is still ongoing. Let's enjoy. Let's keep it peaceful. My name is Elton Broby. Have a good evening and take care.